Hey, welcome to New African Black Panther Party, United Panther Movement, Hasan Shakur Political Education course, week 1. Hey, we starting over. This is week 1. But you know what? I almost forgot to give a shout out. Hey, look, Tristan, Shanti, and Esther passed from the last cohort, from the last class. Tristan, Shanti, and Esther passed. That's what the Secretary General told me. I believe her because this her duty, whatever. She said they passed. So we got to get them their T-shirt, we got to get them the red book, and we got to get them their certificate. We should have that. We should have that sent out before next class. Hopefully, everybody receives it in the mail. Then we could talk to them and we get to work on what we got to do next, on what they got to do next, how they go and join us in what we're doing. The first duty of a revolutionary is to be educated. To be a Panther, we must understand our history, our political line, strategies to overthrow our oppressors. Upon completion of the political education program, graduates will become members of the UPM, United Panther Movement, receive recognition, and be encouraged to begin organizing in their local communities. Each week, students will be assigned reading and videos to study and will convene once a week to discuss the material, interpret and break down the core concepts, questions and answers, and to prepare for next week's study materials. Remember that taking notes can be really beneficial, even audio ones, and don't be afraid to ask for help. We're all in this together. Each week you are encouraged to bring the following: quotes from the material, questions you have, your interpretation of the material, core concept, revolutionary spirit, Pantherism, unitary conduct, and the enemy. And that's the chairman right there. That's Chairman Shakur, all power to the people. That's the chairman that introduced me to Pantherism, that organized me. Like, sometimes we need to say all of that. Some people act like you just woke up and you knew everything you know, and you all this stuff, you were just born with it. Nah, we come into this gradually. Sometimes something happened that makes you start to question reality. And that's how most people get into this. Or you're born into a family that helps you, that guides you along the way. But there go the chairman. That's our chairman right there, Chairman Shakur of the New African Black Panther Party. Settle your quarrels. Come together. Understand the reality of our situation. Understand that fascism is already here. That people are already dying who could be saved. That generations more will die or live poor, butchered half lives if you fail to act. Do what must be done. Discover your humanity and love in revolution. Pass on the torch. Join us. Give up your life for the people. George Jackson, all power to the people. To save ourselves require, where am I going? I'm moving too fast. Who will save us? We will save ourselves. To save ourselves requires getting together by searching out those elements displaying in actual practice revolutionary proletarian consciousness, and reaching those elements exhibiting or who have shown an identification with Pantherism, but remain uncommitted, though not due to moral flaws that contradict revolutionary Panther morality. Pantherism is the key to unity. This video is very important. Look, I need y'all, when you watch this video, it's only a couple of minutes long. It's not that long. Please take notes. Take notes and understand. Try to see if you can understand what institutions is, what they mean by institutions, because we're going to be coming back to this. And like, this is week 1. This is, for the rest of the down weeks, I'm going to be referring back to this video about institutions, because this is the building block of what it means to change society, what revolution really means. This video, if you understand this video, you will understand the building blocks of that. So I'm about to play the video right now. Please, please, please take notes. Please take notes. This is very important. I need you to understand this. Matter of fact, if you don't understand it, make sure you tell me so we can go over this.
Institutions are essential parts of any society. Think about it. Police stations, Hospitals, businesses like Walmart and Trader Joe's are all core parts of a community. In a sense, they impose structure on how individuals behave. For example, if all the laws that exist in our community disappeared, would I still have a normal day? Probably not. People would be speeding down the street, looting my neighborhood coffee shop, and perhaps a stranger would be sleeping on my living room couch. All the things that I'm used to would be completely disrupted. Maybe a more reasonable example is, let's say all the schools had a new rule of no classes on Fridays. Then parents would have to figure out childcare for that day. Institutions and their rules definitively guide what we do. You may be thinking that you don't have a kid and maybe you don't need childcare services. But in general, individuals are reliant on the institutions in their community. But is the reverse true? Do institutions need individuals? In general, they need lots of folks to contribute to allow them to function, but they don't typically need any one random individual. So there's a bit of an imbalance between institutions and individuals, if that makes sense. While they need individuals and are created by groups of individuals, they will continue even after the individual is gone. The concept of institutions may seem like a daunting idea, but try thinking of them as just a form fulfilling a need. Institutions meet the needs of society by filling expected roles and behaviors. For example, in order for a society to continue, it needs people year after year after year. The family institution makes sure that there will be people to carry on the next generation. We know society needs a way to keep people healthy, so you have the medical institution. And society even needs a way to encourage innovation and progress, so you have universities. There are two views of institutions, a conservative view and a progressive view. The conservative view sees institutions as being natural, positive byproducts of human nature. For example, the institution of hospitals forms naturally from the activities of humans and naturally benefits them. The progressive view takes the standpoint that institutions are artificial creations that need to be redesigned if they are to be helpful to humanity. So perhaps you can see businesses as potentially harming society if they aren't reined in. Now, unfortunately, institution is one of those words that has a very different meaning to a sociologist than it does to the average person. We average people might think of just a business or a corporation when we hear the word institution. A sociologist, on the other hand, thinks of social structures when they hear the word institution. They think of governments, families, hospitals, schools, the legal system, religion, as well as businesses. Each of those parts of society continues on without regard to any individual. Governments continue even after the people within them turn over. Families continue from one generation to the next. Laws continue on after the people who wrote them are long dead and buried. Hospitals, schools, businesses all continue past the time span of any individual and are not dependent on any one individual either. Institutions are.
I hope everybody paid attention to that because that's very important. That's very, 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 very important. I don't know how I can stress that anymore. That's if you don't understand the purpose of institutions, you're gonna have to take the class over. By consciously selecting the most advanced elements from among the Black masses for membership in NABPP, PC, the vanguard party of New African and African Revolution, and a friend of all oppressed people, we are building a cadre of leadership capable of marshaling its energies and talents to move the party forward, even under tremendous pressure from rightist repression.
Captain Africa.
All power.
Can you just quickly elaborate or give a quick synopsis of the purpose of institutions?
Yeah, I will, Secretary General, but I want to get through this part right here.
No problem.
Yeah. We're going to get to that. I hope everybody we're going to have a good class today. I'm going to break down why it's so important to understand the purpose of institutions and how they function. Institutions are really like the beginning of everything if we're serious about liberating ourselves. National liberation struggle fundamentally conflict with rightist policy. I'm going to read that again. National liberation struggle fundamentally conflict with rightist policy. Any vanguard party seeking to lead the people in progressive, aggressive struggle must pre-arrange training for cadre in the basic of protracted struggle in the defensive and offensive class struggle of liberation. Yo, that's what we're doing here, doing political education classes. The organizing we're doing is to build a cadre. That's what we're doing here. All the work that we do is to build a cadre. A cadre is like a group of people politically educated, aware, that understand what they're doing, what this is about, and they dedicate their lives to the struggle. That is why we ask all future party members to serve a minimum period of time in the United Panther movement, which is mass-based organization that bring in all kinds of brothers and sisters interested in serving the oppressed peoples and prepares them for revolution. We want to throw the net as wide as possible in order to select from the best of the best. So that's what we're trying to do here. We're throwing out the net as wide as possible and try to bring people in. Because I put this on my social media pages. The chairman posted, everybody posted, they try to bring people into the class for us to educate them. We have the task of redefining in actual social practice the very words brother and sister. The bourgeois definition given to us by our parent must be erased from our consciousness. What we understand as brother and sister, what they have taught us, we have to erase from our consciousness. Bourgeois education and long uses define brother and sister as being based on biology alone, for the purpose of discouraging unitary social practice by the exploited slaves, sharecroppers, and wage workers against the various ruling class forces. So they gave us these terms like brother and sister to separate us from each other. So like when you hear people be like, yo, all I care about is making sure my family, my kids is okay. That's all I'm worried about. I don't care about nobody else. That's problematic because the people that's oppressing us, the people that are our enemy, we're going to get to that. All these people, that's what they want them to do. They want you to only care about yourself and your children and your family. Because if you do that, they'll continue to eat while you're struggling. Your family's going to be struggling. Your kids are going to be struggling. Everybody's going to be struggling. The primary determinant of brother and sister springs out of the sociological and environmental. I can see the bottom. What's that on the bottom, Secretary General? Environmental. Anybody out there?
Process we call struggle.
It's an environmental what?
Process we call struggle.
All power to the people. Like I got a little line on my thing right here that I can see the bottom. So when I get stuck, Chairman, please help me out. Take, for example, a group of people who have ideology, values, cultures, history, economic oppression, and colonialism in common. Based on this commonality, they organize themselves into a national liberation party demanding freedom. So think about just, they're saying visualize all the people going through the same issues with the same ideology, and they share the same values, culture, history, economic oppression. All of us coming together based on this commonality, they organize themselves into a national liberation party demanding freedom, not asking for it, not telling people to give us freedom, not going to anybody to ask for anything. We demand it and we're going to take it. Imagine that. This party or formation will experience the ebb and flow of struggle, including suffering and joy. And out of the struggle for freedom will be forged new, higher relations that will be emulated by other oppressed groups who will also become their brother and sisters. Like, this is deep. This is deep. I mean, once we understand our struggle, that we all together, I mean, like, people will look to what we're doing, what we have done to try to fight the imperialists that they're fighting wherever they're at. This is the period where the very term brother and sister ring from every hall, institution, street corner, and house of newly awakened nation, and mean much more than the biological relationship of siblings. Because at that point, when we all see each other as brother and sister, not just by the biological sense, but I'm talking about through struggle, through our material condition, we all see each other. It doesn't matter what you call, what color you are, it doesn't matter, none of that. We're only fighting from our history, from our economic standpoint, from our class standpoint. Yo, can't nobody stop us, because most of the world is suffering the same condition and have the same history. That's why they're suffering those conditions, not because they made it or brought it upon themselves. If I don't consider you my brother or sister, who are you to me? Real talk. I mean, like, there's a verse in Tupac, I think it's in Changes, when he said, how can the devil harm my brother close to me or somebody close to me, whatever. I mean, like, every time I hear that song, like, this part right here ring in the back of my mind. Like, how can anybody do anything to anybody in our community if we see each other as brothers and sisters? You're not going to have people out there sleeping outside in the streets. Out there it's cold as hell. We ought to be brothers and sisters in spirit and comrades in the struggle for liberation. So in spirit, we're brothers and sisters. But in the struggle, we're comrades. Like, we're soldiers together. We're fighting together, which is the highest level of alliance, unity you can think of. Panther love is the glue here. We have to exercise Panther love. We can state this fundamental principle more clearly than Che Guevara when he said, at the risk of seeming ridiculous, because love is ridiculous to people. When you say you love people, when you go around saying you care about people, like, you're not doing this for money, you're not doing that, it look crazy to people. People look at you like, this guy's crazy. You do all this work for nothing. You just gonna go out here and just work for people? Man, I got bills to pay. But at the risk of seeming ridiculous, let me say that the true revolutionary is guided by a great feeling of love. Because if you don't have love, you're not gonna do this work. Because it don't pay, it don't come, you don't become rich working for the people. It is impossible to think of a genuine revolutionary lacking this quality. Ernesto Che Guevara, all power, comrade. It is this abiding sentiment we must uphold with one another. Love should motivate and love should bind us together. Let love heal us and strengthen us. We're talking about material conditions. And material condition, the way how the world works outside, all the institutions that govern us, everything around us, we live on a capitalist state. I need you to understand what capitalism is. And for me to explain that to you, I got maybe arguably the top Marxists in the country, according to what people say, the top Marxist in the country. This is Richard Wolff. He's been teaching at Harvard. He's been doing this for probably like 30, 40 years of his life, teaching and explaining what capitalism is. So this is not Africa telling you. This is Richard Wolff. He has all these degrees, all this stuff that they say you're supposed to have when you're speaking to people, and he's a white man. So maybe people would listen to what he say. I'm just joking. But I'm about to play it. Please listen and take notes to what he's saying and pay attention to what he's saying. Because if you don't understand what capitalism is, he's going to explain it to you, and he's going to make it real simple because he's a master teacher. This is what he's been doing his entire life.
In Marx's way of thinking, capitalism is easily represented in the following way of understanding what the process of production is. And because Marx is interested in human beings, and Marx is interested in how people relate to one another, because that's what he's concerned with, he's going to analyze what happens in production in terms of labor, of this activity people give themselves to when they go to work, and how they relate to one another as they go about transforming nature into chairs and software programs and haircuts and everything else. Okay? So we're going to start this way. Every act of production makes use of some kind of tools, equipment, raw material. For example, let's use a chair as an example. If you're going to make a chair, you need some wood and some glue and maybe some nails and a hammer, and you get the idea. And all of those things that are used in production were made by human beings, labor, that's now available for us to use to make more things. Somebody did work a while ago to make the hammer, which I'm going to now use to make the chair. Somebody a while ago put together whatever needed to make the glue that I use and to cut the trees into the lumber that I use. And so we're going to use a simple embodied labor. Every production makes use of embodied labor, labor that's in.
Is this clear to everybody? Everybody hear this?
I hear good, Captain Africa. All power
power
to the people.
All power.
Embodied in some product that was done earlier that's now an input to what we're doing now. basically simple idea. Here comes another simple idea. With this embodied labor, labor embodied in all the tools, equipment, and raw material, production involves the addition of living labor, the worker, you, him, her, the people working. So we're going to call that living labor. Embodied labor plus living labor gives you the total labor in whatever we produce in an economy. It's real simple. Okay? You can say it in other words. There's the value of all the stuff we use up when we produce, tools, equipment, and raw materials. And then there's the value added by the worker who uses those pieces of equipment to transform the raw material into the final. So this is nail, glue, lumber. This is the chair maker's effort, and the outcome is a chair. Okay? This is very simple. What is capitalism about? By some process, which we can talk about later, the embodied labor, the work done by working people in the past, becomes the private property of a few people. You know their names, they're called employers. They didn't make this stuff. Absolutely not. Somebody else did. Workers. But those workers didn't get to keep what they produced. They lost what they produced, and it became the property of somebody else. And that capitalist brings to the production process whatever it is he owns. Let's just say, just to make it simple, that it's worth 100. It doesn't matter what it is, just 100 of anything. So we know we're using up in making chairs 100 worth of hammers, nails, glue, lumber, all of that. And now the worker adds value to what he or she produces by transforming the lumber, nails, and glue into a new finished thing called a chair or a sofa or any other piece of output. Okay, then let's just to make it real simple say it's another 100. And so the final chair is worth 200. I told you this would be easy. 100 plus 100 equals 200. Economists think this is an enormous achievement. Even most of you probably don't. The arithmetic is simple. Okay? Now let's follow the logic as Marx did. This is what a capitalist does. He brings 100 of what he's come to acquire somehow, we don't know how. And by the way, we never asked the capitalist like how he got it, do we? It's really only do you got it or do you not have it? And if you have it, you can be the employer. And if you don't, you can. The fact that the employer who has it didn't produce it is a nagging problem we prefer not to ask. But we'll come back to it. And you know you can't be an employer because you don't have it. You didn't get it. Somebody else did. So the capitalist brings his 100. But he uses that up. That's the tools and equipment used up. So that 100 shows up in the chair. And half of the 200 that chair is worth. And we know that the chair is worth 200 because in addition to the 100 of stuff used up, there was 100 more value added by the worker who worked to make the chair that's worth 200. Now, says Marx, and you're going to say it with me because you're going to understand this. Now Marx says, let's see. For the capitalist, he wants to get back what he laid out with the 100. He gave 100 to the production process. So when he sells the chair at 200, he's going to take 100 of it to replace the tools and equipment and raw materials used up in producing the chair. That's how he can keep on being the chair capitalist. That's how he can keep production going. He has to replace the tools, equipment, and raw materials he used up, doesn't he? Yeah, he does. I don't have the time to be Socratic because we don't have enough time. Okay, let's see. So out of the 200 worth of chair, you need to take 100 to replace what you used up. That leaves you with 100 after you sell the chair. What are you going to do with 100? You could, here we go now, because this is the crucial part. You could take the other 100 and you could give it to the worker. Because after all, it was the worker whose labor added the 100 of value to this stuff to make the 200. You could, couldn't you? And the logic would be, gee, the worker added the value, he or she, here we go, folks, should get it. Because he gave it. He created it. He made it happen. He should get it. Do you think that happens in capitalism? No, you don't, do you? We don't give the worker the value added. Ever in capitalism. It's not how it works. You all know that. But I'm putting it kind of right up front and bold for you to deal with. What is it that capitalists do? They divide that 100 into two parts. One part is what we pay the worker. I'll be generous and say 50. Now you get it. If you made a chair of 200 and you used 100 to replace the tools, equipment, and raw materials you used up, and you used another 50 to pay the workers, that leaves what? 50. Good. Higher math of economics. 50. And Marx called this the surplus. It's what the capitalist has left over after he pays out to himself the 100 worth of tools, equipment, and raw materials he contributed that got used up, and he pays the workers. He's got to pay the workers, because if he doesn't, they won't show up anymore, and the game is over. So to keep it going, he has to replace the tools and equipment, and he has to pay the workers. He has to pay the workers, here we go, folks, less than the value added by the workers when they work. Or to use the technical term economists like, he has to rip the workers off. He has to steal from them part of what their labor added. You know what the lesson here is? For those of you who imagine that when you graduate from here, you will get a job. In fact, the only job you will accept is one that pays you what you're worth. Never gonna happen. The condition of your employment is that you produce more by your labor than you get paid. Welcome to the capitalist system. That's how it works. This thing, surplus, that's profits. That's where the profits of enterprise come from. The best way to describe your work in a capitalist enterprise is not that the employer gives you a job, it's that you give your employer the surplus. The giver and the getter are in reverse order from what the language suggests. You are doing wonderful things for your employer, and they will keep you in that job exactly as long as you can keep producing a surplus adequate to what they need. Okay? That's step one. Volume 1 of Capital lays all that out. And for those of you who have never seen this before, no one has ever done this with you before, this simple took me 5 minutes. Now you get a taste of that repression that I talked to you about at the beginning. That's what happens in a society which is not allowed to think like this. So for some of you, maybe it's the first time. Let's continue. What does the capitalist do with the surplus? A lot of things. And they're very interesting. They shape the economy. In order for the capitalist to survive, he's got to take this 50 that he appropriates from the worker who produced it, and he's got to make sure it's distributed in society to keep himself in office, to keep himself in the job, to keep the capitalist system going. He has to take steps to make sure that this stuff keeps on happening. He can't, as you might imagine, take the 50 of surplus and have a wonderful evening on the town. going to an expensive restaurant and a lovely piece of theater and then a trip to the Bahamas. He wouldn't be a capitalist very long. He's got to make sure that things are taken care of in this society. Let me give you an example. It's possible that these workers, let me be more blunt, that people like you in a job might encounter a person like me in a classroom, which would mean the next day when you come to work, your attitude might have changed. You would be beginning to understand that at the end of the day, of a job that you've had, when you had that funny feeling and spoke to a person right next to you on the way out of the building, you feel vaguely, I don't know, ripped off. Yes, good, you got it. There's a reason why you do. You're actually paying attention. Most people in capitalism feel that way. It doesn't show up in the language. We have to disguise it. So we do. Here's an example. At the end of the working day, on your way home, you stop somewhere before you get home. And you stop in a place where you can sit down and have a drink. And the name of this experience in our culture is called happy hour. You understand what the previous hours aren't. It's your happy time. For the other 8 hours, to use another technical term, stop. Don't they? Don't they? The culture does recognize it. It does. It just needs a little help interpreting. So it gets distributed, this surplus. You know what it does? It's taken by capitalists and it's given to, I don't know, let's see some institutions who get distributions of the surplus.
Institutions.
In many capitalist societies, capitalists support local churches. And why might they do that? Because in the church, something is taught that says none of what I just described is going on. Or maybe they fund a university. Maybe they take a part of the surplus and make a beautiful building, sort of, you know, like this one. And why might they do that? Because in the university, like in the church, a completely different story is told about all of this. Let me give you an example. Here's a way to understand economics. Production is a wonderful, harmonious collaboration. The worker brings his labor, the landlord brings the land, and the capitalist brings the money and the equipment and the factory. And they all cooperate to produce the output, and then they divide the revenue earned amongst each of them in proportion to the contribution each has made. You might call this fairsies. This is an economics in which everybody is fairly treated. It should vibrate with the harmony of it all. That's how we teach economics in the United States. I know that because for 50 years, I did that. That's what we taught, because that's what we learned. And that's no accident, because that's a completely different story from this one. In that story, everybody gets in proportion to what they contribute. Fairsies. There's no surplus, there's no ripping off, you've got nobody to be angry at. If you don't have more wealth than you would like, it's your own damn fault because you didn't contribute more. So how can you expect to get more? It's wonderfully comforting. It's like knowing that there's somebody up there who, despite everything else, really likes you, even though your best friend doesn't. Okay, it's very important. Here are some other things that have to happen. Suppose these workers, for one way or another, discover they don't like this arrangement. They might decide one day to come into work and say, you know, you're a nice boss and all that, but we're not doing this anymore. You want us to work and add value of 100, then we want the 100. Because we do it, we add the value, you give us the 100. And the employer says no, and things get kind of ugly. At that point, the employer has an option. Very interesting option. He can go and pick up the phone, and he can call a place in town. And he says, man, I'm getting scared. And very quickly, something interesting happens. A truck or a van leaves an office downtown, filled with people in dark blue uniforms who come right to your workplace with a big stick and beat up on these people to help them change their mind. It's called the police. And for the capitalist to do what he does and be what he is, he has to have that phone there. And there has to be a bunch of people in blue uniforms, and there has to be a van, and there has to be an office, and that all costs money. Where do you think that comes from? That's another use of the surplus. Let me pick some.
All power. I'm gonna stop it right there. Hey, look, you could go on the excuse me. We have the links on there. You could go on there and watch the rest of that video. But it's really powerful. I mean, like, listen to somebody really break down capitalism, the way it works, and like really think about it. People do say that I'm not going to get a job unless they pay me what I'm worth. That don't even make sense under capitalism. That's the purpose of having a political education class, for you to understand these people are never going to pay you what you're worth. If they pay you anything, it's because you're maintaining their system for them, because you're their slave and you're working for them. So for that, they will give you whatever they think you need to keep you in line. But for the average worker, you're never, ever going to make what you deserve. To be free from vampire capitalism requires that at some phase of social revolution, the vampire must be denied the blood of the people to suck. Here's how we define social revolution: the total breakup of existing system of wage slavery. Yo, think about that. Remember, we started off with the institutions. I mean, and now, like, he just explained to you how capitalism works. And then he explained to you all the institutions that capitalism need to be able to keep everything moving and how they maintain those institutions. That's where we at right now. The political and economic structure of monopoly capitalism has no redeeming values worthy of preservation. No part of it can be used in the new social order we are striving to build. We can't just get rid of every vestige of it overnight. Even after monopoly capitalists are overthrown, the aspect of social organization of capitalism will linger on for quite a while, and we will have to struggle resolutely and consciously to root them out and replace them with new socialist relations. We can't stop halfway. Yo, like, basically, if we organize and we do what we have to do, everybody's not going to wake up overnight. We're going to have to struggle. We're going to have to build institutions of our own to be able to teach people and help them understand the purpose, our purpose. The law that protects capitalist existence has lost its ability to be fair and impartial, and so it must face the trash heap with its maker. We can't hate white supremacist oppression, but love its natural outgrowth, i.e. capitalism, which was born from the stolen resources and labor the people of the undeveloped nations. I don't know if there's something under there. Capitalist law was instituted and put in place to repress ethnic and national oppressed groups and to protect capitalist property relations. And since 95% of property is in the hands of a few families in America, the law basically protects and serves 5% of the people who make up the ruling class. So when you hear somebody say all cops are not bad, they don't understand, like, the cops are here to protect the people with money. They're not here to protect you. See, that's a facade. They're stunting you. When you think, like right now, if you're in the hood and you call the police to come to your house, if they do come, the first thing they do is record check you. Because if they find anything on you, they're going to lock you up. They're not here to protect you. When you call them, it's like kind of like a nuisance. Like, well, I got to go over and go see these people. New laws and new constitutions will have to be written and amended as we move forward. Laws that reflect and protect the new socialist relations, serve the growth of people's power, and prevent a return to the old ways of exploitation and injustice. As this is being written, the vampire ruling class is going through an international fight over economic markets and resources that were divided between individual white nations for imperialist exploitation. No longer do various white nations claim individual underdeveloped nations as their exclusive domain to exploit as colonies, but that has not changed the drive and zest of former colonizers to impose privatization schemes, micromanaged by World Bank. These are all institutions that they created, the World Bank and International Monetary Fund, IMF, and the scramble to control these is sharp. This is a podcast that me and comrade Kwame did. Kwame is going to explain what neo-colonialism is the continuation of reimposition of imperialist rule by a state, usually a former colonial power, over another nominally independent state, usually a former colony. Neocolonialism takes the form of economic imperialism, globalization, cultural imperialism, and conditional aid to influence or control a developing country instead of the previous colonial methods of direct military control or indirect political control or hegemony. But look, like what is basically saying, like they're not going to come in here and just start grabbing people, locking them up, because then everybody will see it and everybody will start rising up. Nah, they have other ways and other strategic ways to do it. So like there may be Black people, Spanish people, it may be a woman, a Black woman, a Black gay woman, it could be whatever. But these people are maintaining what the state want them to maintain. So just because they look like you and I, that don't mean they're working for us. Just because they talk that Black power, revolutionary, gay rights, climate, they do all of that talking just to coerce you, just to get you to fall for the banana in the tailpipe, to believe them. And then they get to pass the laws and the policies that those in power, the imperialists, the oligarchs, the wealthy, they get to pass what those corporations and those individuals want them to pass. Neocolonialism takes the form of economic imperialism, globalization, cultural imperialism, and conditional aid to influence or control a developing country instead of a previous colonial methods of direct military control. Like in our so like they have NGOs, nonprofits that they fund, and they use these nonprofits to do their bidding. But let me play the comrade.
Yeah, I was just end with something that Kwame Nkrumah said in his book Neo-Colonialism, The Last Stage of Imperialism. He said a state in the grip of neo-colonialism is not master of its own destiny. It is this factor which makes neo-colonialism such a serious threat to world peace. So I just want to conclude with that, because a lot of people always promote this bourgeois politics. You know what I'm saying? We need more Black mayors. We need more Black governors. We need more Black city officials. We need more police officers. Well, we see that already in Newark, New Jersey. Like, how much more Black can it get? And what has that done for the people? That's why Kwame Nkrumah wrote that. He said this is not, he was basically saying this is not Black liberation. You know what I'm saying? When it's a neo-colonial state. You're not in the people this is not in their hands of where they take a destiny by the horns. You know what I'm saying? It's still being co-opted. It's just using Black faces, brown faces, women faces, LGBTQ faces to maintain the same social economic relationships. You know what I'm saying? That was going on before the civil rights movement, when we was just coming out of slavery in the 20s and the 30s and stuff like that, when it was more overt because it was white faces. You know what I'm saying? But just because they got a Black face that looks just like you and me, they serve the same class structure. And this is what we want y'all to come away with. So you'll understand from a class analysis everything that Rob Baraka is saying. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Obama too. I almost said this man today all the time. But what we saying, they serve the same class interest. Everything he said, he twisted around. He twisted around and turned it upside down and made himself to be like a revolutionary. But like Kwame Nkrumah said, those that uphold neo-colonialism in the state, they are not masters of our destiny. They do not control. We can't never find Black liberation like that. You know what I'm saying? So I wanted to end with that quote because he wanted to quote all these revolutionaries. Well, I'm gonna quote him right back to him and say that they said people like you, it is against the people.
All power to the people.
Yeah.
Neoliberalism is a term used to signify the political reappearance of 19th century ideas associated with free market capitalism, a prominent factor in the rise of conservative and libertarian organizations, political parties, and think tanks, and predominantly advocated by them. It is generally associated with policies of economic liberalization, including privatization, deregulation, globalization, free trade, monetarism, austerity, and reduction in government spending in order to increase reduction in government spending. Let me go back. And reduction in government spending. Our money, our tax dollars, they reduce that spending on the people. That's why you see all those homeless people. I mean, that's why you see the schools are trash. Everything is bad in the community because like they take like that's right austerity right there. They take the money that's supposed to go to the people, and you know where they send them. They send it to they wash the money to their to like Ukraine, sending it to like what you call it, military industrial complex. Like the people you think they're sending your money to Ukraine, but they're really sending it to the military industrial complex that's paying them for them to be in position of power. I'm talking about the politicians. These are the people that's funding them. MSNBC, I think it's owned by a military complex too. All these corporations, all these people are owned by these corporations that they take our tax dollars and they give it to them. And it is washing money. So now you think you're paying for a war in Ukraine. They're really cutting a check to that military industrial complex that gave them $2 million for them to become senator, congressman, president, whatever. Spending in order to increase the role of the private sector in the economy and society. So the private sector, these businesses, corporations, they what you call it, like that's how they gain power. That's how they use their power. The defining feature of neoliberalism is both taught and practice have been the subject of substantial scholarly debate. The International Monetary Fund, World Bank, and other banking and financial leading institutions, there go that word, institutions, have come up with a slick way of reimposing control over undeveloped nations by neo-colonial rule that consists of economic exploitation, economic aid, puppet government, and military assistance. All of this right here sound like Israel and Palestine. Like Fatah, that used to be the group that they used to have over there, Fatah, that, they pay for Hamas too. They created Hamas. They created all these different groups. We're going to get to that in a second. Though the U.S. ruling class has emerged as the victor in the international fight, monopoly capitalists from all over Europe, Japan, and elsewhere are moving their capital overseas to markets with cheap labor and no labor laws so they can make a huge profit on their investment. Following the law of the maximization of the rate of profit, we must oppose this by international solidarity and struggle. We must impose what they're doing, maximizing of the rate of profit, because that's the only purpose why these companies are here, these politicians are here, to maximize on the profits that the corporations make. That's why these politicians are here. That's the role they serve. For us to oppose them, for us to fight back, we have to organize each other to understand these people don't work for us. We must oppose this by international solidarity and struggle, sowing the seeds of world socialist revolution. And we must remember what V.R. Lenin said 100 years ago. V.R. Lenin, 100 years ago from Russia. What did he say? There can be no equality between the exploiters. Ain't no equality between me and the corporations. There can never be no equality. Who for many generations have stood out because of their education where they gave me poor education. In my city right now, the schools is garbage. The kids can't read. Nobody knows nothing. Just people are getting paid to do nothing. We have stood out because of their education, condition of wealthy life and habits, and they exploited. The majority of whom, even in the most advanced and most democratic bourgeois republics, are downtrodden, backward, ignorant, intimidated, and disunited. You're talking about us, the masses of the people. That's how we are. We are disjointed. They make sure they don't educate us. They make sure we're dumb. So then they'll stand in front of us and say dumb stuff so we could follow them and thinking like what they're saying is true. So-called leftist movements still haven't caught on to the statement from 100 years ago. That is a telltale sign of class collaborationism that our party will expose to the people. We have to build our party beyond the national boundaries of the United States, wherever Black people are concentrated, and particularly in Africa. In this way, we can help unify the political consciousness of our people and coordinate our struggle against imperialism, neocolonial exploitation, and radical discrimination and oppression. So long as we are oppressed and discriminated against as Black people, there will be a need for the new African Black Panther Party and for Pantherism, together with our oppressed brothers and sisters of all, of all ethnic and national backgrounds. We must rise as a mighty storm of struggle to sweep away imperialism and all oppression. Or this is for next week. Next week, we're going to be talking about Huey P. Newton and Bobby Seale. Let's see where we at here. All right, look. Basically, the slides for the class is over. Now I'm going to explain about the institutions. The first video that we saw. That first video that we saw is showing you about the different institutions. I'm scrolling back. Let me go here. I said I was going to bring it back. I hope you took notes. Look, these institutions, these schools, the medical, all of them, the police, the universities, every single institution in society outside your home, when you walk out your home, all of those institutions are built by our oppressors to maintain society the way it has been. It has always been. They have always been in power in these institutions that you see. These schools, remember they said sociologists see them different because we actually went to school to understand what institutions are. So me, I'm a sociologist by trade. That's what I went to school for. That's on the plantation. That's what I went to school to go learn. Went inside one of them institutions and I learned what sociology, what society means and what the purpose of institutions are. They don't pay you when you go to get what you call degrees in sociology, history. You're not really going to get a job nowhere because what you're saying, what you're teaching, these institutions don't want you to teach it. So you're not really going to be rich or whatever unless you're a functional sociologist where you're using the knowledge that you know to help the state itself maintain its oppression. So when I told you to watch this video, you need to understand what all these institutions are. So when you hear about the IMF, when you hear about all these different institutions, the United Nations, you understand these institutions are in place to serve the people in power right now. What do we do to fight these institutions, to fight these people back? How do we struggle to fight back? That's why we're here. That's why we're having a political education. Richard Wolff, everybody explained to you how all of this works. What do we do? Now we're about to go to the meat and bones. This is Pastor Albert Cleve. He's gone right now. He's an ancestor. He's gone. But I want you to hear from his mouth what he says about institution.
The power. Black people have to begin to build institutions. Every institution that exists belongs to white people, was built by white people, and serves the interests of white people. And for Black organizational leaders to be sitting in public as though they have power, as though they represent some dollar.
Yo, let me pause this for a second. Yo, look, I'm playing this. This is 1972. You see, my bad. I forgot to set the scene for y'all. Yo, the name of this video right here is it too late for the Black man? And this was had by the Black Journal in 1972. And they have all these leaders in the Black community up there talking. And Mary Baraka's up there. He's going to be speaking. And they have the different school of thoughts. They have the Black nationalists, cultural nationalists, and then they have the Black revolutionaries. And they're having a conversation on how do we move our people forward? How do we move the ball? How do we deal with the material conditions in our community? This is 1972. This was before the mass incarceration. They're having this meeting before the AIDS epidemic, before everything that happened to it, before they moved jobs overseas. This conversation was right before the reality that we know to be true today. And they were having this conversation on what do we do as Black people to save ourselves. And he's telling them, we have to build our own institutions. The institutions I showed you, I started off the slides with. We have to build our own institutions because participation in any of these institutions is not going to get us where we need to go. I mean, look at it now. We're in 2023. You tell me who won this debate. Because after I play him, you're going to listen to Amiri Baraka. Amiri Baraka is the father of Ras Baraka. You're going to listen to him, and you're going to listen to a congressman from the Black Congressional Caucus. You're going to hear them give their idea of what should be done. Basically, what we're living under right now. All the Black people in position of power, Ras Baraka, you go down, you got Shakur Lumumba in Mississippi. You got all these Black people, all these cultural nationalists in power everywhere. And they're telling you, he's telling you why it's not going to work.
We want to represent everybody. We want to bring everybody together. We want to build a beautiful America. We don't want to build no kind of beautiful America. We want power for Black people, and we're going to have to fight for it. It demands confrontation and the willingness to do anything necessary to get power. And we got to take it away from white people. White people are not going to give Black people anything. Politically, economically, or any other way, Black man is no longer necessary in America. And the white man is hell-bent on genocide. So we have to understand we've got to build institutional power to deal with the white man who has decided to destroy.
Well, thank you, Reverend, for underscoring my point. That this is merely a gimmick on the part of a white racist society to divide Black people. Right. There is no power structure to struggle between Ralph Abernathy and Jesse Jackson. Thank you. I'd like to proceed if I can, and if you could keep the questions as brief as possible, but we are a people, a particular, this kind of an instrument. They like people that think involved in the political convention. The National Black Political Convention, which
they're talking about the National Black Convention that was had in 72, whatever, where Amiri Baraka, where all these Black Uncle Toms, sellouts, came together to have a convention of how they're going to take power in all of our communities, which they have done. They all have power in our communities. These people that went and got money from the government, from the oligarchs, from the rich people, all these groups, the NAACP, the Urban League, you see Ralph Abernathy on there, all these people got money, even Amiri Baraka in them. They got money to serve the institutions of white supremacy. And look at this congressman. He doesn't look like I wouldn't trust this guy with nothing. Look at him. He got a comb over. That's the first thing you know. You don't trust no Black person with a comb over. What are you doing with a comb over, bro? As soon as my dreads started going, I knew to cut off my hair and be real, not to be phony, not to be fake. Who has a comb over? But I'm going to let that be. But listen to what he says we have to do.
which takes place in Gary, Indiana, March 10th through March 12th, will be addressing itself to the empowerment of Black people through this kind of an instrument, without any reference to partisanship. And I think that it is consistent with the implications of that question, because without confrontation with both political parties and outside of the political party or political structure, obviously we're not going to be able to translate what represents our potential power into anything meaningful.
So the only way for us to gain power is by going to these institutions of white supremacy to beg them for stuff, to beg them, to ask them for policies and things that are going to fix our lives. This is 1972. This son bitch was in the Congressional Black Caucus back there. If you know anything about politics now, you know it's a bunch of bootlicking Uncle Toms on there right now. So what he said, we did that. As Black people, that has been the policy since the 70s. For us to go into these institutions, go to these schools, get an education, move out the hood, go get a good job. This is liberation. This is what they offer to us. You about to hear Amiri Baraka.
Yes, political position is that first thing you have to realize that you are a people, a particular people, that you're not Americans except by default of being here in the same space. But what we have to realize and what we're trying to articulate is that I think almost all of our brothers here have correct positions to a certain extent, from the Honorable Elijah Muhammad to Brother Clay to Congressman Biggs, that our problem is that we seem to think that the diversity of our beliefs is somehow has to keep us apart. But I think when we learn that it is institutions, alternative institutions, that will be our salvation. But we have to be able to orchestrate our community. That is to pull together a kind of unified national Black community so that the Christian nationalists or the Christians or the Muslims or the people who are talking about integration or the people who are talking about Garveyism, that somehow we can function as a nation of people, as a people. That we can sit, just like we're sitting here and say to each other, try to agree on certain things that we have to do as a people. So that we can agree that the Christian nationalists and the Muslims and the people who are politically motivated, that say on one issue, we can get together and deal with that particular issue from the point of our collective strength. Because we don't have any power because we have not focused and created an instrument through which to translate our power potential into actuality. Any such instrument would be.
Like everything he just said, it sounds good because he's a poet, but he a clown. So everything he said, like we need to bring ourselves together. We need to come together as people, as Christians, as this, as that, to go into the institutions of white supremacy. And this is how we're going to liberate and help our people. All that is BS. Like he should know better. If he don't know better, he an idiot. He should know better that none of that is going to liberate people. But there's another guy, I think it's Roy Ennis, whatever his name is. He's about to come right after him and tell him, no, you can't do none of that if we don't share the same political ideology, the same philosophy. Like, what are you talking about?
Wholly dishonest unless we are able to come together and admit our diversity and identify it for us to stop lying about what we are. We have a serious problem in this country among Black leaders, where very few these days will honestly call themselves integrationists while pursuing that path with all of their energies and resources. We need to be able to admit our diversity.
Integrationist means you want to integrate into institutions of white supremacy. Institutions built by oligarchs. That's what they mean by the term integrationist. You want to integrate yourself into the burning house that we've been catching hell and being burnt with. That's what he's saying Amiri Baraka is. Afrikan not saying that. Roy Ennis is saying that. In 1972, he called him an integrationist. So what are you going to teach his own son?
Identify them, then there might be a chance to come together in some kind of instance. I would now have, well, that's, kind of ridiculous question. There are differences.
The question that he asked him, like, why can't you come together and work with, like, Amiri Baraka and why can't you come together and work with the Nation of Islam? And he's saying, like, that's kind of a stupid question. And he's about to tell you why he thinks it's a stupid question.
Black Christian nationalism and Muslims who have a Muslim position. We're willing to join forces with anybody who rejects integration and is willing to take a programmatic approach to the solving of the Black man's problem. We have to understand that the Black man is in a slave culture. That's why so much of the talk that's coming out here is coming out of a slave culture, where Black people feel inferior, where the white man's declaration of Black inferiority has been accepted by Black people. That's why Black leaders talk out of a slave culture whenever they open their mouths, and their organizations, even when they've learned that Black people have changed and they start to try to sound like they're opposed to integration, begin to talk in gobbledygook because they really are working for the integration, and that's what they believe in. So I would work with Elijah Muhammad. He's closer to trying to do something than most of these other organizations that are represented here, with the exception of Roy Ennis. I've just been
all power to the people. So you've heard him. Like I said, this was 1972. This wasn't last year, last week, 10 weeks ago, 10 months ago. This was in 1972. Somebody do the math. How long has that been? 1972. And they're telling you they're going to go pull a lever to vote for somebody, going to integrate yourself into these institutions of white supremacy, or any of these institutions is going to do anything to liberate people. He's telling you right here, because what he's saying is what Malcolm was saying. And at the end, Dr. King was like, am I integrating my people into a burning building? Yeah, you are, bro. Yeah, you integrated us into a burning building. I mean, we've been catching hell since then. I mean, it's been hot in here. I mean, and the only way for us to liberate ourselves is to build our own institutions. And for that, you're going to catch hell. Wherever you go and you're talking about that, you're going to catch hell. Before I go to Raz real quick, I can't go on without saying this. We stand in solidarity with the Palestinians. As a Rainbow Coalition, as a New Africa Black Panther Party, we stand in solidarity with Palestinians. That is not a
All
war.
power to the people.
All power, Chairman. Hey, look, that is not a war going on over there. It is not two countries fighting each other. It is one of the most powerful countries in the world dropping bombs on innocent people. That's what's going on over there. So you can listen to the corporate media, all these institutions of white supremacy tell you what you're seeing with your own eyes. It's not real, because you see the bombs being dropped on these people. You don't see no military from them. The only people you hear about, they keep talking about is Hamas, Hamas. Israel made Hamas. Israel created Hamas, funded Hamas to fight against the other political organizations in Palestine trying to fight to liberate themselves. So Israel created Hamas. And they created Hamas, and now Hamas is coming back, just like in Niger, just like in Africa. All those institutions created all these people that are now turning their back on them and are standing with the people to fight against them. If you are a settler, anybody that's in Palestine, the entire Palestine, even the part that they call Israel, in the West Bank, anybody, any human being that's there that's not Palestinian, is an occupier. You are a settler, you are an occupier. You are not an innocent bystander, you're not an innocent citizen. It is not my words. Their own institutions, the United Nations, all these nations or whatever institution they have that's supposed to be watchdogs over all these nations. They say Palestine is under occupation. It is an open air prison that these people are living in a prison with no walls. It's open, no water, no lights, no nothing. You can't even go to school. You can't leave. You cannot even leave.
That's right. All power. All power.
Like, think about that for a minute. Having that kind of existence, and every day, every single day, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, week in, week out, month, years, decades, you're living in that kind of environment, and you're watching them brutalize your family, watching the Israelis brutalize your family, and they have a policy. Yo, check this out. These savages have a policy that they call cutting the grass. You know what cutting the grass is? Every few months, every few years, they drop bombs. They go in and kill the Palestinian people to keep
all power to the people. That's right.
Keep the numbers the same, because they say it got to be more Israelis, more Zionists, because those people are not Jews. They don't practice the religion. They're Zionists. They have a policy called cutting the grass, and they go in and they kill the Palestinian people. My own lifetime, I've seen it several times where they've gone to war, drop bombs, and kill everybody. Women, children, drop bombs on hospitals, drop bombs on on weddings. Because you see them on MSNBC and they be like, Israel doesn't do nothing. Israel never killed no babies. How you gonna be a savage? You run around cutting off children's hair. Number one, that's a lie. Those reports were lies. They haven't confirmed that any baby's hair.
That's right. That's right. Preach, brother. Preach,
all
brother.
Power, all power.
Preach, brother.
They haven't confirmed that anybody was raped. This is the Western media. The Western media owned by corporations, by oligarchs, institutions that are not there to serve us, to serve the people. They're there to serve these corporations that will kill everybody to make $1. They're on the news right now. Lindsey Graham, all these people, even black politicians are on the air like siding with genocide. Palestine is South Africa doing apartheid. You know who sponsored apartheid? Israel. Israel funded the apartheid regime in South Africa for decades while they
Come on, brother. Tell the truth. That's
Yo.
right. That's right. Let it hang out. All
while they brutalize the people, cut off limbs. You go all the way all in Africa. Israel has sponsored terrorism against our people. Yo, the nation of Israel is a terrorist nation. I mean, it is a terrorist nation. When terrorism is using like violence to try to push your political ideology. That's what terrorism is. It ain't Muslim people. It's not black and brown people. The definition of terrorism, look it up. Look it up. Is using political power. I mean, not political power, using physical power, using brutality to try to get people to bend to your will. That's what terrorism is. And that's what Israel has been doing to the people of Palestine. I don't know what I would have did if I was there, if I was in Palestine. You're keeping it a
All
buck.
power to the people.
Yeah.
All power to the people.
Yo, keeping it a buck. Yo, the Black Panther Party had organizations that fought for the people like that. We act like we don't. Matter of fact, I talked to one of the brothers that was in one of those organizations, Daruba bin Wahab. We talk about Shakur. What do you think these people did for our people? Because they will call them Hamas. In fact, they have millions. I think $2 million. Obama tried to get Shakur back because they called her.
Come on, brother. That's right. That's right.
They called her a terrorist. Right. They had a black man standing up on the podium saying they had $2 million on the Shakur head. When they're ready, that's what they're going to say about me. The mayor's running around talking about me, disparaging me, doing all kinds of things on social media. Nobody likes this stuff. Nobody goes and shares this stuff because they know they're liars, they're frauds, because we work in the community with the people. With the God of the chairman, we understood our role in the community years ago was to serve the people. That's what Hamas does in Palestine. They serve the people in Palestine, and that's why the people love them in Palestine. So don't listen to none of these accounts that you hear coming out of MSNBC, CNN. Even the independent journalists are cowards. They call themselves independent, but they're getting money from somewhere. So they got to toe that line. I mean, but like what's going on over there, it's a genocide, and you're living through it. You're living through it right now. You're not back doing the German time, doing slavery. You're not, you in your own period. What are you going to do about it? I mean, but look, everything we've been talking about, Ras Baraka is the embodiment of it in Newark, New Jersey. Because Ras Baraka knows this history. Unlike most people that don't know this history, Ras Baraka knows our history. He understands to bring the people together. He understands how to organize the people, to use them to intimidate the people. He knows what you need to do to be able to liberate yourself. But
hey, you know what, Captain Africa is for cats that are avid students of socialist history. Look how Benito Mussolini was a socialist and turned fascist. And that'll give you an idea of Ras Baraka and his family. How they came out in a movement and they turned to the right. Check it out.
All power to the people. Check it out. Y'all look it up. Yo, 2 books. George Jackson, Blood in My Eyes. Because every time we do this right here, I think about George Jackson, Blood in My Eyes, and look up the book. Look up. You don't even gotta go read a whole book. Go look him up. Bolsonaro. Go look him up. Google it. Go in your Google. You can even go to Wikipedia, and it's gonna tell you everything that the chairman just said. But I'm about to play the video. Like, this is Ras Baraka using his bully pulpit. All these people that are in this room, most of them belong to NGOs and nonprofits that he sponsors with state-funded money. And all these organizations, the people that are in there, they're getting paid by him. So he basically controls them, because if he doesn't pay them, they have to come out here like us and go try to find a job to survive. So they go in there and they may be politically ignorant, and they may really believe what he's saying in there. But first, I want to show you the video of him inside. Let me get this the way it's at. Inside of the meeting, dividing those people in the meeting from us, Black Panthers, revolutionaries, by lying to them. Because that's the only way. The only way you can survive out here as an imperialist like him is by lying.
Somebody offered me some money to cut you out, I'm gonna say no. All money ain't good money. I'll give you 10,000 extra dollars. I just want to talk to you. I don't want to talk to them. Those guys are a little rough. Yeah, your wife, your kids, all that. Good. Just because I believe in who I am, and whatever you give me, I can give myself. So I don't have to depend on you to do anything for me. And I want to say something to all those guys that came in gambling and that crazy.
He said he wanted to say something to all the guys.
Turn it up, Africa. You can't turn it up louder than that?
I don't think so. But he said
it's pretty low.
Yeah, the Secretary General is coming to turn it up. But before she turn it up, let me explain to you what he's doing right now. He has all these NGO groups in there that he paying, that he funding, and he getting all these millions of dollars in to be able to to be able to give them money for them to listen to him, for them to believe in the stuff that he's saying. Now he has them in the room, and the Black Panther Party, the New African Black Panther Party, went down there. The chairman took us down there, and the chairman was going down there to read. Like when we went in the meeting, we were going to go in the meeting because it was a mass meeting for the entire city, for all the men in the city. So we were going to go, well, women could come too. So we were going to go to the meeting, and the chairman was going to deliver a speech and tell them that putting a hit out on me, attacking the new African Black Panther Party is problematic. And if we want to liberate ourselves, basically everything that I've been talking about here, that's what we need to do to be able to liberate ourselves. So that's why we came there. But listen to what he said. The reason why he said we showed up. Listen.
And I want to say something to all those guys that came in with cameras and acting crazy and foolish and dumb.
That's us he's talking about.
Your brothers are in here.
Let me stop it here. I gotta show. So while he's saying that, this is us outside. Yo, he said we came in here disturbing, trying to force our way in. That's why they ain't let us in. Yo, I'm gonna let you listen to him, bro. But like, this dude is a professional liar. There's no reason to meet with him. Because if you can lie like this in front of people, you're a sociopath. I can't do that. I can't sit in a room full of people like that and lie. Yo, look at this video right here.
Everybody go down this please. Everybody gets the next book.
What crew?
They said we're trying to barge in, was causing commotion. Yo, as soon as we got there, those people right there in the back, those are police officers. They're so undercover. This guy right here, Abby's, the mayor's feeding him. The mayor feeding his family. The mayor got him a supermarket, a store, whatever he got. He about to open another one because like they think like by them eating, that means everybody else is eating. I mean, but him right there with the kufi on, he's supposed to be a Muslim. Remember what Albert Cleave was saying? What the Reverend was saying? Like all these people, it don't matter what religion, all of this. Roy Innes was saying it. Whatever if they don't have the same political philosophy, ideology, we can't work with them. Yo, they have the sellout mentality. Only them could eat. Look at them. For anything, yo, that cop right there with the bald head, he's making over 100 G's. The other one right there with the trench coat, he think he on power or some shit. That he making, he making probably over 100,000. Yo, for that money that they're making, they will protect this mayor with their lives. But the mayor said right now, we outside causing commotion.
It's like any citizen in Newark. We have the right to participate in this. Everybody go along.
Nah, but that's it right there. So you saw how they closed the door and it stopped us from going in there. But let me play Ras Baraka and listen to Ras Baraka lie in a room full of people in the community that we're trying to work with. We're trying to organize with the people. But he has paid them off and he brought them in the room, keep us out the room so they can hear us. And then listen to him lie. Listen to him lie.
I can give myself. So I don't have to depend on you to do anything for me.
He talking about us. That's what we do.
Say something to all those guys that came in. Yeah.
See, he won't say something to us. I'm out of play. He's talking to us now. Go ahead, talk to me, Raz, you bootlicker.
These are people who've been through hell and back. Some of them been through hell and back 2 and 3 times. They trying to find a way to get out of here. Figure a way to do something for themselves and give them business and opportunity and camaraderie and love with each other. You ought to put that stuff down and come in here and sit with us. Stop listening to your enemy. Stop following your enemy. And come in here and be with your brother. Because they love you. And they want to be with you. But we ain't going to stop what we're doing because of your ignorance. We're going to go forward anyway. And anything that gets in the way has to be rolled over.
This is so dangerous right here. Yo, this is sociopathic behavior. Yo, this is fascist behavior. Yo, he knows he just stopped us from going inside the meeting. They closed the doors in our face. And then he's telling the people, the street organizations, and all these people that he's basically funding with our tax dollars. Because all those federal grants, all that money that's coming to him, for him to have all these NGOs, all these nonprofits, over 10 of them, $8 million to organizations. There are no schools, there are no institutions in our community. There is nothing in our community. All the money that he has gotten from the federal government to work in the community, he has built up organizations that promote him and his access into white supremacy, into these institutions. They're there. That whole meeting right there was there to attack us. He spent his whole time attacking us. Like I said, you go on All Power to the People on our YouTube page. We got it up there so he don't delete it. We have all this stuff recorded and we posted up. He spent our tax dollars, refused to let us inside of the meeting that our tax dollars funded, that was open to us, so he could separate us from the people, separate the Panther Party from the people. What kind of savage does that? And he calls himself a revolutionary.
You know what, Captain? It backfired on it because we got a lot of support from the community when he did this right here. It propelled, right? It gave us a lot of support.
No, but why, Chairman? I said it earlier. As soon as we started working together, what you told us was to work on the survival program and work with the people in the community. Us working with the community, they see us every day. Because like when you graduate,
that's right.
When you graduate from this, and you after the 10 weeks, this is week 1. After you graduate and you become in the UPM, yo, it is your duty to start up survival programs in your community. We will help you to start up survival programs. And then when people like this come after you, because they're coming after you, they will come after you. These blackface sellout bootlicking Uncle Toms, frauds. And I played all those videos for you to understand the two different ideologies: integrationist and revolutionary. Building our own institutions or leading our people into the lion's den. Those are the only two choices we have. There are no other choices. Either we build our own institutions, and that's part of the 10-point program, Black Panther 10-point program. If the government that we pay our taxes to refuse to do what we need as a people, we must come together and do this ourselves.
All power to the people. All power to the people.
And that is what we preach and we tell the people. And they don't want that message to go out. He didn't want the chairman to get in that room and deliver that message to that room full of people because he's COINTELPRO. He has learned from the 70s and 60s and 50s, you don't put the mic in front of revolutionaries because they're going to change that whole room and have that room attacking you. He knows that. So he sits there and lie. Yo, I'm gonna show one more. I have a couple of videos here I could show, but I want to show one more to show you like where his mind really is at. Let me see if I just found it too. Where is it at? Right here. You need to understand where his mind is at.
We getting deep tonight, brother. All power to the people.
You said what?
I said we getting deep tonight.
All power,
we showing the actuality and actual figure that we will have to fight before we kick off fighting the white supremacist state. We got these Negroes we got to fight first.
Yeah.
Well, you want to be? I was the mayor already.
Yo, you heard him. He was the mayor already when he was born. The people didn't pick him. The people didn't need to pick him. He was already the mayor when he was born. What sociopath says anything like that? Everybody knows powers come from the people, but he doesn't respect the people. The people don't matter to him. The people don't matter at all. I got one more. take you, then our enemies are in trouble. Could you imagine? I tell the kids this, but what about the leaders? Could you imagine if we really was together? All of these organizations in there, if we was together. Could you imagine all of the blocks and the hoods? You know how y'all woke up, hoodie on, hat down, tight. You walk up like that, a group of you was 10 of y'all already nervous. 15, imagine if it was 250. Imagine if it was 1,000 of you from every block in the city looking like that. Walk up into a Port Authority board meeting. I'm gonna stop it right there. Listen to this goofy, yo, man. I'm trying not to use any profanity on here, yo. But look at him, yo. Just the arrogance. Like, do you hear what he's saying? Yo, we can't even walk inside a meeting for the city from our tax dollars hosted by him, by Ras Baraka. He's saying if the black men, the people in the community put on their hoodies, 200 of them, 1,000 of them, and walk into a board meeting with the port, they're going to shoot you. You're not even going to make it through the doors. You walk into those people, to the meetings that those oligarchs are having, they're going to shoot you. But you see, he knows that's not possible. He's not talking about using all those millions of dollars that he has received from the federal government to build institutions in our communities. He's not talking about that. He used that money that he got from the government to pay for stuff like violence and all that stuff in the community. He used that stuff to get people to be his cheerleaders, to go forward his campaign and his access into white supremacy. That's all he used that money for. And then when they come to us, he blames us that we're not organized. Like, you have to go and listen to this whole video on your own and just listen to this craziness that he's spewing, but he acting like he's a revolutionary, like he really spitting bars out there. Like look at him, the cockiness, the arrogance. Because he know everybody in that room is dumb as hell, dumb like him. Because he was a teacher, he was a principal. He knew him, he knows he made those people dumb. He knows he's part of the system that miseducated them. Because people in that crowd thinking like, yeah, 200 of us about to put on hoodies and we're about to go sit in on a board meeting at the Port of Authority. You a big idiot. If they don't shoot you, they're going to hang you. We can't even get into a meeting with him. They probably would have shot us if we tried to go into that meeting, if we forced our way in there. See, but we're not reactionaries. We understand how the system works. So when they told us we couldn't enter, the chairman gave his statement. We got it on video and we left while he stayed in there lying for over 45 minutes. That speech was 45 minutes right there, all about us and how the people in those spaces should separate themselves from us. He's an integrationist. He's an assimilationist. In a few days, he's going to be having a vigil for Israel because he stands with Israel. He don't stand with the Palestinian people that are in an open air jail, being bombed and killed.
You know what's interesting there, Captain, is that the reason why this shows how opportunistic he is. Recently, they had a big thing for his father where some liberal folks said some things that angered the conservative Jewish lobby in the State House. And so they told Ras Baraka that we're going to freeze that $8 million that you're going to distribute to these groups until you apologize for having 2 anti-Semitic speakers at your father's event. And so Ras didn't come out and condemn those individuals, I don't know, overtly. So this may be his way of getting that money that he wants by coming out and standing with Israel. If Ras Baraka stands with Israel, this is going to really, really expose him for all the world to see, and for what we have been saying. That is the ultimate turn to the right there.
Nah, seriously. Like, there's nothing else to really say. Like, if you stand with Israel, like everybody know, every revolutionary know, even a baby revolutionary know we stand in solidarity with Palestine. Everybody know that. That's common knowledge. But with that black skin and that fake arrogance, that fake toughness, He gonna walk around here and act like he's really doing something. And I would be remiss if I don't say this. Because those people in the room are our families or our neighbors in the city. I know a lot of people in that room that belong to these organizations that he's trying to turn against the Panthers. These street organizations, I know people that are in street organizations. I grew up with them. I went to prison. I served time with people. Like we all did. The chairman did too. We grew up in Newark. I know these people. He brings them in and they don't give them political education like we get in here. He brings them in and tell them, yo, I'm going to use you to help the people, to help the gang members that's going to jail. Because I know it's really not their fault. I know it's the circumstances, whatever, that lead them to going to jail. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to give you money. I'm going to give you stuff. You're going to go inside the schools. You're going to go inside the white supremacy schools, institutions of white supremacy, social conditioning schools, and you're going to give them pep talks. You're going to make them, what they call them? They got them people that be doing the little talks and stuff. What they call motivational speakers. You're going to go in there and you're going to speak to the kids. You know what? I'm going to take y'all and I'm going to let you inside the jail for you to go talk to the kids in the jail. We're going to go to the county. We're going to go to the youth facility. You go to these places and you go talk.
All power to the people.
All power to the people. You go in there and talk to them. You know what we're going to do? We're going to take you to neighborhoods and you're going to go over there and you're going to give them motivational speeches. Hey, yo, when I was locked up and people used to talk about writing letters, hey, yo, I used to tell them, like, yo, I can't eat them letters. Real talk. I need commissary money. The letter, cool. You can write the letter all you want, but I can't eat them letters. I need commissary money. Hey, yo, all these people that he has thinking they're doing work. They are doing work. Because getting up, going to the school, having to come up with something to say to the kids, doing that stuff, doing it a couple of times, like, yo, you feel like you're really doing work because you have no political education. So you think like that is work. Yo, all of that stuff is not work, yo. Like, I'm keeping it a buck with you. Yo, going into these institutions of supremacy, of white supremacy, these fake institutions that we learned about that belong to oligarchs, that belong to our oppressors, going into those institutions to talk to anybody will change nothing, will change no material condition. None of that. Standing up to people like him, organizing the community to build cooperatives and be able to sustain themselves to fight back against politicians like him. That's how you change the material conditions in the community. So you could go to all your little schools and talk to the kids and give them all these words that's not going to put food in their stomach, that's not going to feed, that's not going to make their parents make more money to be able to be home with them, to help them with their homework. You could go talk to them kids all you want. When you leave, they go back to their normal life, because that's how it works. And how do I know this? Because I'm a sociologist by trade, and I understand institutions. Building institutions is how you liberate a people. Not going to have conversations with them. What you going to talk to them about? You can talk all day. You can talk to your face turn blue. But when they go home, they're starving, they're hungry. They're going to go back, revert back to what they know, what they've been socialized to know. That's how this thing works. And then these people in that room with no political education, that don't understand what's going on, that have no idea about imperialism, about neoliberalism, that don't understand who the enemy is, they fall victim to a savage like this. And very soon, he's going to be gone. And he will leave all of you here. And you know what? Yo, I've seen it before. I'll be surprised if they don't come after him for all this money that he done took and he has done nothing for. Sooner or later, you're going to have to pay the piper. And all those people, $8 million, you think these people are going to give you $8 million and they're not going to come check what happened? No, I'm not. Yo, he got way more than 8 million. 8 million went to one group. Secretary General, what was the name of that group that the 8 million went to? North Peace Collective. I got it.
Yeah, the Brick City Peace Collective, I believe.
Brick City Peace Collective got $8 million.
And we could be wrong with the numbers, but yeah, they got millions of dollars.
Millions of dollars. Whether it's 8 million, 1 million, I don't care. You got millions of dollars. Yo, where are the institutions in the community? You know where that money went? It went to pay off all the people, all the activists, all the fake revolutionaries that are in those organizations. That's where that 8 million went. Those millions of dollars went to paying all those people off and then taking them to schools for them to go speak to the kids in schools, like taking them to the jails, taking them to the church, having campaign rallies, paying, paying for Robert Treat to get that space, paying for the police, paying for everything in it, that food. That's where all that money went. If you go check and see where all that money went, it went to paying for stuff like that. And not one institution in our community. Look at that dude back there looking at him in the corner right there. Like he looking at Raz like this is God. Like he's my God. Because he's paying him. Because he got money in his pocket. He put money in his pocket. He could sit there and tell you he a Muslim. Like you could tell from the way he talk. He talk from the side of his mouth. Anybody that talk from the side of their mouth, I don't trust. And he talk from the side of his mouth, bro. Like he be lying so much, half of his teeth is gone. Like one side of his mouth, like half of the teeth on that one side is gone because he be lying so much. He hosted the event. Go watch it. Go watch it. I mean, it is sad. But it's been, man, I've been spitting for like an hour and some change. Now, like, it's more of this video that I want to go into, but now I'm going to leave it here, yo. I'm going to leave it here for today. Like, I really implore everybody here to go look at this video. Go watch this video and listen and watch him project all his insecurities onto us. There's a part in the video where he said, like, if there was no camera around, if nobody was recording, they wouldn't talk to me like that. Chump, I was calling you a bootlicker, a sellout before I put the camera on when we was in the park. You a chump. You a coward. You need that money from white supremacy. You need that money from the government for you to go into our neighborhoods. You don't come into no neighborhood without the police. Yo, he stands up there and he brag, I go into any neighborhood. You're not going to stop me from going anywhere because you got the pigs with you. So you could go anywhere you want. You control all these institutions. Like these, you have the entire backing of the United States government. Of course you could go anywhere you want because they got all the power. But he's a savage, man. I mean, Ras Baraka is a liar. Raz the liar. That's who he is. Raz the liar, man. And it's sad. It's real sad to see, like, this is what, I don't even want to say this is what he has become. This is what he has always been. He's always been a fraud. His daddy was a fraud, and he a fraud. I mean, they lied to us when we was kids, when we were younger, telling us these people were role models. But now that's an adult, you go back and listen to their political philosophy, their ideology, and they're bankrupt. These people are morally bankrupt. And after everything that Amiri Baraka said, yo, the society, Newark is his dream. The way Newark is functioning right now, this is what Amiri Baraka was talking about in 1972. Having him, Ras Baraka, he got the Christians there. He got some dude in there that's a wizard or something. The dude is saying that he got on, I think he got on a crown or something on his head. When you look in the video, you're going to see him. They're going to cut the clip to him. That dude right there is a Muslim right there. He has all these people that he's paying to push his agenda on the people while people are here starving and don't have nowhere to live. Ras Baraka is a sociopath, yo. And as activists, as revolutionaries, if we don't separate ourselves from these people, the people can't tell who's who. So we have to draw that line. All power to the people. All power. Yo,
all power to the people.
I told you earlier to take notes. If you want to understand what institutions are, if you want to talk about anything, yo, this is where we chop it up at right here. Like, this is your time right here. Whatever questions you have. I mean, you ask some questions right now. We get it out and we talk about it. But like
questions, comments, suggestions, anything.
Yeah, because I'm done right now for today. But look, on Wednesday, guess what we're doing? If it's Wednesday, it's time for the Survival Food Program. We having our food program this Wednesday. I mean, so like, I'm letting everybody know now when this video come out, Wednesday, 12:30, be at the, 309 South Orange Avenue. We're going to be there giving out food. Yo, every week, you're going to have a grocery bag. So if you go grocery shopping, it costs you 100 and something to go. Yo, save that 100. Put it in your pocket. Come out here, get some food, and find out how you can help us feed more people. Because that's what we out here to do. We're not here to just give you food for you to eat and you just keep on stepping. Nah, we giving you food so you understand, like, this is what we all need to do if we want to survive. mutual aid programs, however you want to call it. That's what we're doing here. All power to the people. Anybody got their hand up?
I have a question.
Go ahead, Panther Queen. I see you got the glasses
All power.
on. Oh, got the glasses on, got the little head wrap. You feel me? Like, what's going on, Panther Queen?
But what is a Allegon? I heard you say Allegon. What is that?
Oligarchy. Hey, Chairman, you want to explain what an oligarchy is real quick?
Oligarchy is a small group of people that controls the means of production, like an oil company, a water distribution company, or a food company, something like that. That's the oligarchy.
All right, thank you. All power.
All power, Panther Queen.
Hey, I wanted to if it's all right, Captain. We had an event this week too. Two events, I think. Well, one event is for the Pennington 2. I know Renee Johnson is up here. I would like for her to give the comrades a brief update on how did that transpire and who the Pennington 2 was for some comrades that don't know who those comrades are.
She was up here. I don't know if she still is. I'm checking.
No,
okay.
I don't see her. I mean, I don't see her. I think she probably had to do something.
She might have jumped off. All right.
Yeah.
But that's all I wanted to say.
All power, all power. What's up, Gabby? What's going on, Gabby?
Hey, Captain Africa, how are you doing?
All power, comrade.
I'm doing pretty well. I'm just happy to be here. I just want to say I've been preoccupied with college, but I am almost done with my questions for the test. I'm almost done with them. I only have to answer one left, and yeah, I'm gonna send them over to Comrade Patience so that way she can check them out. But I'm almost done with them, so don't worry, Captain Africa. Almost done with them.
There's no rush, Gabby. There's no rush.
Yeah, ain't no rush though. Ain't no rush, Gabby. Take your time. Andy, what's up? Andy? What's up, Andy? You got your hand up, Andy. Talk to me. All right, well, Andy, when you get here, you unmute yourself. You can talk. Shanti, what's up, Shanti? Shanti, you passed the test, right?
Yes, I did.
Let's go. Yeah, we got to mail that stuff out to you, yo. We're gonna get it out. But after Shanti, Andy, you go ahead. But go ahead, Shanti.
Okay. Look, like I swear to God, this is why we need to study our enemies, because it's like we keep falling for the same tactics that they pulled. They're sweet talkers, okay? Like Raj Raka and those people, they're sweet talkers. You know, they know how to talk to you real sweet. They smack real sweet and they talk real sweet. And if they talk and smack sweet enough, then you'll fall for it. And we cannot keep falling for it. We've been falling for the same tactics for too many years, and this has gone to the point where like this all needs to stop, especially with Palestine. And I not really want to speak on Palestine because these people want to keep on lying on the Palestinian people, most of them children and women, mind you, and say that they're terrorists, that they're beheading children, that, you know, they are killing so-called innocent civilians. Well, let me ask them. If those so-called civilians were so-called innocent, why is the so-called state of Israel putting them in it? Because Palestine doesn't have a military of their own. They don't even have a stable military of their own. It's literally occupied. Their land is occupied. So how in the hell are they going to put those so-called innocent civilians in it? Please make that make sense to me. 50 whole families have just been eradicated because of the state, the same state with backing from Europe by the US settler empire. And these are the people that we want to keep believing in. A whole massacre happening, and you still want to keep giving this empire a chance? Like, really? Like, you keep putting your tax dollars into genocide, into imperialism, and you see it. You know how they sweet talk to you in the news with the beheading bullshit that was already proven to be false and made up by a settler, obviously. And they say that children are our future, but they support the imperialism of half a population who are children. And that's why I say to all my young people here, y'all need to pay attention to what these people do. They lie, they steal, they rape, they kill, they murder. They don't care about us. They treat us like cattle. They don't show up for us. They don't show up for nobody. Imperialism isolates no one. It isolates no one. They don't care how innocent you are. They will put you in their mess. Okay? They will put you in their mess. And just like what they did 75 years ago, it's the same thing that they're doing now, if not worse. They are literally pulling out all of the stops to try to get people on their side the same way they did 22 years ago. Because this was 22 years ago we're talking about when they decided to come into Iraq over nothing. Over nothing. This is the same tactics that they're using. The beheading bullshit, the kidnapping bullshit. They are pulling out all the stops because Hamas betrayed the state for the people. So, like, they're pulling out all the stops. And this is why we need to really pay attention, because our tax dollars, the same faith that we keep giving into this empire, is the same faith that we have in imperialism, in genocide, in whole families being exterminated by the same people that we want to support so bad. Both sides, my ass. 50-50, my ass. Okay? Because look at what happened with Ireland when they did that 50-50 bullshit. Look at where they ended up. So I don't want to hear nothing about Palestinians trying to make nice. They have tried to make nice, and they still were being killed. 75 years later, children. But we're the future, right? We're the future, right? I thought we were supposed to be the future, but I guess they're too brown to even be considered the future. And so their whole families, their whole entire lives, their whole history has to be exterminated in the price of what? Imperialism, extracting our resources. The same thing that they're doing to Palestine is the same thing that they're doing to the Congo, the same thing they're doing to the Philippines, the same thing they're doing to Cuba, the same thing they're doing to Puerto Rican, the same thing that they're doing to Mexico, the same thing that they're doing to Pindorama, or so-called Brazil. The same thing. It's the same system. It's the same principles. It may be different. It may be different in how it's played out, but the system is still the same. Why do we keep having faith in these systems, knowing that they're killing us? Why? Why? Because you already know what happened 22 years ago. You already know they lied about West Asians being terrorists and stuff. You already know that they're lying about that. Why are you falling for it now? Why are you still falling for it? Why are you still falling for children, us, being labeled as hooligans, as terrorists? They can't even go a certain distance on their own land. It's the same thing that they're doing here to native Chicanos, being illegal on their own land. And we want to keep having faith in this system. We want to keep having faith in this empire. Why? In the price of what? In the price of what? Extermination? Of whole families being wiped out? I don't know. Talk to me. Because you already know how they work. You already know how they operate. So why the hell are you still giving faith to them? In the price of what? Of imperialism? Because you cannot keep lying to yourself. You cannot keep lying to yourself and running from yourself and thinking that you're making progress and thinking that you're doing something in the price of whole families being exterminated as we speak. So I don't want to hear nothing about trying to make nice with these people. When have they ever showed up for us? We trying to integrate. And what has that done for us? What has that done for African children in each generation? Nothing. What has that done for Palestinian children? Nothing. What has that done for Boricua children? Nothing. What has it done for Chicano children? Nothing. What has it done for Asian children? Nothing. Nothing. Nothing.
All power.
And this is why we need to study our enemies, because enough is enough. And I'm tired of us being treated like cattle. I'm sick and tired of us being exterminated in the price of our resources being extracted from us, to be illegal on your own land, to have your own resources in our own homeland in Africa be extracted in the price of what? in the price of the Ma'afa, in the price of genocide against our own people back home. It needs to stop. It seriously needs to stop. And this is why children need to be in the forefront, because we are the most oppressed class in terms of age, next to the elders. So we're already being treated like cattle anyway. Once again, they don't respect us. They don't treat us like humans. We're made to be subservient, to be slaves to our parents, especially if we have abusive parents, in the slave factories that we call schools and colleges and all this stuff, having these African children, these Palestinian children assimilate in the price of what? Genocide? That's enough.
All power to the people. All power to the people. Nah, like that's why we have this meeting. So we'll come here and basically like debrief from all the garbage that we hear all week. Because tomorrow is another day, another Monday. Yo, these people don't got people hating Mondays. Monday's just a day. Like just a name. But everybody got to go to work on Monday. Everybody like, oh my goodness, I got to go to work on Monday. So you think Monday a bad day.
Exactly.
I mean, everybody be like, damn, Monday. But like Monday ain't doing nothing. It's the social construct. There's people that did it to us. Yo, you said the word cattle. Yo, one of the people that was reaching out to me trying to get me to sit down with the mayor, yo, he really used that phrase. Yo, he was like, yo, you know, most of these people out here are like cattle. They don't know what's going on. So we got to do what we got to do to get where we got to get to. Like he thought maybe like I was one of those people that will step on the people or step over the people for me to get to where I need to get to. I told him we can't even talk until he understand that human beings are not cattle. So we don't even have nothing to talk about. But hey, Comrade Andy, what's going on, Andy?
Hey, what's up? How you doing?
All power.
Did you
all power.
I was I mean, I've been listening to this conversation, and it's really it is going somewhere. I mean, I think that if we go back to the beginning of the conversation and start with the types of institutions and why they exist, what they're there for, why did, say, Andrew Carnegie spend lots of his fortune building libraries and institutions? I mean, the institutions are built, you know, and it's not an accident they all appear to be like Western civilization, Greek and Roman architecture and all that kind of stuff. It's like they are supposed to be seats of power. They're supposed to look like that. They're supposed to act like that. They are from the very beginning, these institutions were to be treated almost sacredly, and that when they no longer work, then the people who own them and run them get real nervous, and that's what's happening now. That the very tip of this struggle is taking place in Newark for some real important reasons. And I think it was good to show that thing that goes back to 1972 when all these Black leaders, misleaders, I would say, were brought together to have a conversation. And I pointed out in the chat, there was a serious voice missing from that meeting that had everything to do with Black liberation. And that was the voice of the revolutionary Black communists. They were kept from all these things because of the betrayal of the CPUSA. We'd be a lot further down the road to uniting our class and gaining power over these institutions that oppress us and these governments that oppress us, had not the CPUSA sold us out. And they specifically sold out the Black and brown section of the Communist Party. And they did this in relationship to build a nice friendship and cozy hug on Franklin Delano Roosevelt. And they got some payoff for it. But then they got, right after World War II, they had done their bit. But right after World War II came the reaction, the McCarthy era, and they all lost their jobs, they lost their status, Nobody give a shit if they was eating dinner with Roosevelt. Roosevelt was dead, and they at that point, in order to save their own sorry asses, they sold out the movement. They sold it out lock, stock, and barrel. They began when Roosevelt was alive. They sold it out further after he died. And that so today they foist on us these black leaders, brown leaders, liberal leaders who are not there to help us at all. They're not there. Their order is to maintain the confusion, maintain our control over this situation. For the money, we're going to pay you good. I mean, Ross Baraka gets paid good. Brandon Johnson gets paid good. He runs around Chicago suggesting to people in nonprofits that I'm going to drop $3 million on you when this election is over. And he's serious. They got I don't know what the going rate for betrayal is in Newark, but it costs a lot more money in Chicago. It is a big town, and the payoffs are. I know one individual that got $3 million. Who was supposed to be a radical, and he got a nice, handsome payoff from from the housing work he was doing.
Are we talking about Fred Hampton?
No, I'm not.
Well, he just got a lot of money from the city council.
Absolutely not.
I know. Well, that's what I'm saying. There's
did I call a controversy here? Did I call a controversy here?
Yeah, you ain't got to live here. We got to take it easy on him for a while. No, I'm just kidding. But they consider that cheap. They drop million here, million there, and they get everybody running around circles fighting over these crumbs, and nobody has clarity on a class question at all. And it's coming to blows now in Chicago. They've got us divided and cut to pieces, and there's only one voice, and it's the voice of the revolutionary communists. That's the one they silenced back in 1946. So they silenced it for 75 years, longer than I've been alive. But that voice is now emerging. It's emerging in Newark. It is the voice of the people, and we amplify it by giving it conscious expression, explaining to the people the mechanics of oppression and exploitation. And then they see, oh yeah, they ain't going to ever fix this. The people begin to understand there are no reforms left. All those reforms from the 60s are on the dustbin of history. I'm sorry to say, there ain't no reforms that's going to stand in the face of this fascism that's coming. So I deeply admire your comrades and what you're doing. I have other things that I want to talk about at a later date or introduce in by some means, writing or whatever, to the group. But I think that the looking at the betrayal of the revolutionary communists, especially the Black revolutionary communists, is a very, very important consideration to see how we got to where we are today, where we got nothing but sellouts and bootlickers, like Captain Africa says. So it's history. We got to understand it.
All power to the people. All power to the people. Hey, let me see where I'm going here. Hey, Kay, what's up, Kay? You there, Kay? You want to say hi, Kay? You could just say hi.
Oh yes, hi. Yeah, I'm here. I'm new to the group.
I just want to say hi, Kay. I just want to say
no
hi.
problem. No problem. I'm listening.
Yo, which Rob is this? What's up, Rob? Which Rob is this? We got a Rob here?
Yeah, I left it out so you wouldn't know.
Oh, this is the right Rob. Okay, the right Rob. All power. How you doing,
All power.
Ariel, how you doing, Ariel? How you doing, Tanya? Star Shakur. Hey, Rod, I see you out there, Rod. What's going on, Rod? Everything good in Jersey City?
All power to the people. Everything's good.
All power, comrade. Saquon, you good, Saquon Harris? Everything good? $1 Million Quan, what's going on? You there?
I'm here, Captain. What's good, y'all?
All power, y'all. All power. I see you. Who else I missed over here? Let me see if I missed anybody else. Evan Carr. What's up, Evan?
Captain Africa is General Secretary Patience. I just wanted to point something out. Going back to the men's meeting, his whole Ras Baraka whole thing is turning the whole revolutionary concept upside down its head. Everything he said is it's anti-revolutionary, but he's speaking to the people like it's revolutionary. Like at one point he said that he want the people to be able to demand contracts from these institutions. And he said if you have contracts, you won't need affordable housing. Like when he says things like that, it just shows how far deep is, like the captain said, sociopathic and psychopathic he is, because he knows getting contracts will never help the people. Like affordable housing is what the people need, and he knows that. But because he can't provide that for the people, because he refused, because the capitalist system from which he promotes and works within refused to provide housing for everybody, and it won't provide housing for anybody, he tries to flip it and be like, well, since we can't provide housing, let's buy into this capitalist system and get these contracts so you can get housing for you and your family. And if you and your family is good, maybe then you can do something for the people. The same old trickle-down economic bullshit that we've been listening to for decades, and it hasn't reached the people yet, and it's never going to reach the people because it's not intended to reach the people. That's not how capitalism works, and he knows that.
All power to the people. Now, you're 100% correct.
Exactly.
Hey, yo, 15 minutes.
All power.
All power. When you go on YouTube and you get this up, go to the 15-minute mark after he start talking, after Ras Baraka start talking. He says, we're living in abundance. The only problem is we haven't gone out to claim the abundance we living in. Yo, he crazy. Something wrong with him. Now, something is wrong with people are out here all living on the streets. So he telling me the homeless people, if they go down to City Hall, if they go down to Prudential, if they go down to any of these buildings, they could go down and take what they need. Yo, this dude, there's something mentally wrong with him. But he understands the people in that room are apolitical. They really don't understand. So he can't lie to them. Yo, we've been here 2 hours and 10 minutes. Like I said, this is the best part of my week right here. I mean, look, the people that passed the test already, we're going to send your stuff out this week. I mean, but don't be stressed out tomorrow. You got to go to work tomorrow.
Wait, Saquon, I'm sorry, Captain. Saquon has his hand up.
All power. Go ahead, Quan.
And me.
And you. Go ahead, Quan. Go ahead,
Y'all can hear me fine?
Yeah, we can hear you.
It's Quang, like train. It's a Quang.
I'm sorry.
Okay. All power. Chairman Zulu had mentioned a second ago, and he said, like, I think Captain Africa and Chairman said it, but he was talking to the crowd as if it's two different groups of people, and Chairman was saying, like, we gotta go against our own group of people before we even talk about white supremacy, and at like a real low degree, or at some level, this is white supremacy. They just making one class, a higher class, go against the lower class, and like historically, this is how it's always done. It's always going to be the lower class versus the higher class. All
power.
That this higher class
like
really
that.
ain't
I
got
had
no
to open
weight.
my camera for that one. That was a good one there, brother.
Oh, God,
I had to open my camera for that one.
I have a comment.
making
I have
me
a
blush.
comment. I wanted to
piggyback off what he said. I think the only way we're gonna kind of go after these gatekeepers is if we're running our communities. Because when you know your neighbors, for instance, like a lot of us, we don't know our neighbor, we don't know everyone on our street, we don't know the people on the next street over from us. So when we have these sellouts, we don't know who they are, we don't know how to go after them, we don't know how to take care of them because we can't punish them because we're not in control of our communities. So we have to focus on getting back, and that does tie into politics. We decide what goes on in our community. You get what I'm saying? Because we're going to keep having those gatekeepers because they're being controlled by the people controlling us, making decisions for us. And then we don't even know sometimes where they get these people or appoint these people from because they don't live next to us. Most of the time, we don't. I mean, you don't even know really where they come from and where they get this backing from. Sometimes they're foreigners or they're immigrants. So we need to get our communities back.
All power. I personally know brother Abby, the Muslim brother, and I had tried to speak to him about the altercation. And everybody, that look in your eyes when somebody love you, and that look in their eyes when somebody hate you. Like I grew up with Abby's nephew. That's like my god brother. We known each other for years. Like I done been in his cookouts. I've been in his house on Christmas. Like we know each other. The conversation, I always know, like, yeah, bro, love me. I always felt like bro love me. The conversation just bringing up Africa. Money change people. It don't matter like what it is. Money change people. It kind of like it'll make your perspective derogatory, even if he was at some point solid. Once them checks is there and they feel like the person oppressing you is feeding their family, they don't even see you getting oppressed.
They justify. Nah, you're 100% correct. They justify. Hey, I'm clipping all of this right here. Hey, Secretary General, we clipping these clips. We posting these clips, yo.
So Queen, when you touched a nerve right there, because that's something we had experienced too. Like money do change people, even your family. Like we've had family turned against us. So like I feel that.
All power. Hey, who said they had something? Gabby?
Yep.
What's up, Gabby?
Hello, Captain Africa. I was just trying to find the words. But a prime example of institutions is a lot of people who don't know much about institutions or are just getting into it. They oftentimes ask. Also, sorry if my voice sounds raspy. I'm kind of sick right now. But a lot of people who don't understand institutions, they sometimes don't get how can people justify the exploitation, genocide, and colonization of entire societies and countries. And what's happening in Palestine, that's what they do it. That's what these capitalists justify by using misinformation. Because I've said it before, I'll say it again. The U.S. media and the U.S. education system is U.S. propaganda. Yes. It's a part of the state, just like the military, just like the IMF, the FBI, the CIA. They are as a part of the military. They're as a part of the state as the military itself. Because what does the media and the education system do? It teaches us to have a warped and bourgeois lens of society, of the world, of looking at things through a reactionary and derogatory and bigoted way. To look at these other groups and these other people and demonize them and dehumanize them to divide us, to start these proxy wars with other nations and entire societies. Because that's what the bourgeois want. They want us to fight each other. They want us to be in war with Palestine. They want us to be in war with Ukraine. They want us to be in war with every other country that they demonize and they dehumanize. Because the moment we start fighting each other, that's when we start realizing who our actual enemy is. And they can't allow that. They can never allow that. That's why they always have to shove down this white supremacist, reactionary, fascist, whitewash bullshit down their throats. They have to confuse and misdirect and misconstruct what reality and objective truth actually is. They have to warp the material conditions to make it seem like it's actually something else. That's what they always do.
You're right.
The education system and the media is just as a part of the state as the military is. They may not use guns, but they use knowledge to make us carry guns and use it to uphold a reaction. Yeah. That's what they do. And what Ross Baraka is doing, claiming that what he's saying is revolutionary, when in actuality it's antithesis. You want to know what he's doing, Captain Africa?
What's he doing?
He's engaging in revisionism.
Yes,
that's really what he's doing.
Yes, he is.
He's engaging in revisionism. He is claiming that this is what a quote unquote revolutionary is, when in actuality he is distorting, warping, and twisting what actually means to be revolutionary, to the point that when people think of revolutionary, instead of them thinking providing for ourselves, they think of being quote unquote revolutionary as just having concessions, as just going to the ballot box and voting. That's what they do. Instead of thinking about survival programs, they think about trying to go to these colleges and trying to suck up to these labor aristocrats and petty bourgeois shitheads. That's what they do.
Nah, you're right.
That's what he's engaging in, revisionism.
Yeah, nah, you're right. Because like when you're talking to them, they talk about a Secretary General. What's that term again? Their family's gonna have money.
Oh, generational wealth, financial.
Yo, I swear to God, I cannot remember that phrase for the life of me, because I know it's BS. Yo, all they think about is generational wealth. Them taking care of their family, them producing for their children. They don't care nothing about everybody else out there. And that's what this institutions teach them how to survive. And you're 100% right, Gabby. It is revisionism. I can't even get the word out. I can't get my R's right. I told you, like, my first language is the African language. I cannot get this R's right. But that's exact that stuff.
Revisionism.
Yeah. Because like that term, the word means to, like, years later.
Revise.
Yeah, years later you change everything. It's like you envision it into the way that you decide it should be, and you give it out to the people as if that's what it is. But it's really some bullshit. You spin it. I mean, you
exactly.
You capping. I was about to take my hat off and throw it. You capping that. but people really don't understand that, because they made sure these institutions that we went to as kids really didn't educate us. Now, but look, I know it's Sunday night. Some of you want to go watch that football game. I'm gonna let y'all slide. Hey, yo, I love this right here, yo. I hope everybody come back next Sunday and bring some more people with you. Because, like, reaching them, talking to these people, that's how we're going to build the revolution that we're trying to fight for. And I love every one of you, yo. Panther love to all of you. Panther Queen.
All power.
All power.
All power to the people. It's a class struggle, goddammit.
You goddamn
yes,
right.
It is.
You goddamn